What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube video. My name is Des. I go by Desb, and if you're new here, hello, and if you're not new here, welcome back. Today in this video, it is now episode 5 of my Shredding for the Wedding series that I'm doing. I've gone over now 4 other videos, just kind of revolving around this current cut that I'm in and educating you guys through it as well. So this week, I'm really excited to bring you this video, kind of contributing and piggybacking off of last week's grocery haul and now getting into how to meal prep. This is a very hot topic, especially for a lot of people in a deficit, because they don't know when to plan their meals, how to plan them, how to pack them, so that you're not always so hungry as well.
Oh, come on! Move! I haven't eaten for 6 hours!
I just want a chicken salad.
Without further ado, we're going to jump right into this video. So for starters, what meal prep is virtually the opportunity to prep your food beforehand to where when that mealtime comes, the food is already made. This seems really easy and you're like,
Oh yeah, meal prep, super convenient.
but when it comes down to actually prepping your food, it can be quite hard and very time oriented. My biggest suggestion for meal prep is that you are going to want to set aside 1 to 2 days a week to really plan out your meals, most of which happening on Sunday, and then the other day being a Wednesday or Thursday when you're kind of midweek, your other meals might have ran out and you need to restock. The first thing you want to start with when it comes to meal prep and when it comes to tracking is you want to make sure that you have a food scale and that you also have other terms of measuring, whether that be cup, whether that be tablespoons, teaspoons, all of that. You want to make sure that you have the whole bit. I personally only use a food scale because on the back of any food label, you will always see that most things are either in ounces or in grams. I just do ounces or grams, and in my MyFitnessPal or in my Macros Plus, whichever app you use, I just adjust the serving size to attain grams, ounces, fluid ounces, whatever it might be. Once you have those things, you are obviously ready to meal prep because you can weigh out anything and create your meals the same all the way around. The best thing to do is make sure that you're getting foods from the store, like in last week's grocery haul, that are high in volume. Things that are gonna be like rice, sweet potato, your chicken, beef, whatever it might be, and you're gonna wanna cook those all in one day. If you're having anything extra, for example, frozen vegetables, microwavable vegetables, or little snacks, you don't always have to prep those ahead of time. Those can be something that take, 5 minutes, you throw them in the microwave, you throw them into your containers, and you're out the door, or they're in the fridge. The other thing that comes with meal prepping is obviously the containers. You're gonna wanna make sure that you have a ton of plastic containers and reusable containers, preferably, because
Save the environment.
but also because they're easy to dishwash and then you can use them again, and they usually just have a really good dimension and width for a full meal and a good portion. Once you have all of these things together, you're gonna want to start deciding what things you need to meal prep. For protein, I would highly suggest making sure that you're not meal prepping that in too big of portions, or else if you don't eat it, it will go bad very quick. Now that you have all of your meal prep ready, these are again gonna be done on different days. So putting them all in one container is gonna be very easy, and then if there's ever anything that you don't want to like get soggy or whatever, I always just bring with me literally full. Like for example, ranch dressing, any sort of dressings or condiments, I will bring the full thing with me. I don't even worry about putting that in a friggin' plastic thing, like
Ew, it just gets gross, it gets crusty.
so I just bring the whole thing with me. Once you have finished with all of your meal prep and you have things, in the oven, you have things on the stove, you're crushing it, you're killing it, the next thing that comes up is weighing things out. Now, if you're someone that weighs out your food cooked, continue to weigh it cooked. If you're someone that's always weighed it out raw, continue to weigh it out raw. When it comes to cooking things in bulk, typically that's a little bit harder just because when it comes to splitting it up, it's hard to do that when it's raw and you're weighing it raw. But if it's already cooked, you can cook it all at once and then split it up. It can sometimes just get hard to figure out your portions when you're cooking everything at once, but you're weighing it raw. Does that make sense? Because it makes sense to me, but I don't know if that came out right. At the end of the day, it is all about what is consistent for you. So a lot of people ask me this in terms of weighing things raw or cooked. They ask me this in terms of, do you track your greens? Do you track your BCAAs? Whatever you currently do,
keep doing it.
It does not make a difference as long as it's consistent. Make sure that whatever you're doing, you stick to it. That's what's gonna help you in the long run, is to not just bob around. If you want to, make sure that you head back to my video from last week and pick up the foods that are in there. Those are all very much meal prep friendly. The biggest things that come with like a meal prep day is really going to be your proteins and your carbs. A lot of your fats are going to be either from your protein sources or honestly added in by snacks like peanuts, nuts, avocado, stuff like that. Things that you can't really meal prep. But your big meal prep stuff's gonna be a lot of your like potatoes, your rices, your big veggie pot, a lot of your protein, which leads me then to my next point, is filling your macros with your meal prep. A lot of people never know how to hit your protein, how to hit your carbs, and the best thing to do is when you're meal prepping to bake a ton of it. If you're someone that is currently eating 140 grams of protein and that's hard for you to hit, but say you're only having 3 ounces of chicken at lunch, make it 5 ounces, make it 4 ounces. Whatever you're eating for protein, double it up. There's also a lot of really great sources of protein that a lot of people don't think about, such as, you know, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, tuna, deli meat, turkey, lean beef, ham, fish, salmon, shrimp, tuna.
I already say tuna.
Chicken, I don't know if I said that. Ham, pepperonis, even bagels have like 9 grams of protein in them, which is kind of good. Greek yogurt, oatgurt, you know, my favorite recipe.
Not even a recipe, but whatever.
There's a ton of different protein options out there, but if you're someone that's struggling with that, make sure that whenever you do meal prep, you meal prep them in bulk so then you don't have to struggle with it. The other great thing to meal prep in carbohydrate sense is your rice, which, pro tip, if you ever go to heat back up your rice, make sure that you add just a smidgen of water to it. It helps re-soak it up and make it a little bit fluffier again, not so dry. And then also your sweet potatoes. The best way to cook sweet potatoes is in the oven, about 450 degrees. Put holes in them with forks. I don't really know why. I think this just helps the steam. I don't know. Make sure that you spray your pan so that it doesn't get sticky. Put them in there for about 35 to 40 minutes and then cut them up or mash them up, add a little bit of water and put them in your meal prep containers. Now, to wrap up meal prep, when it comes to weighing things out, the best thing that you're gonna wanna do is place your meal prep container onto the scale, step 1. Step 2, pick which food item you're going to start with. Tear the scale. By tearing it, I mean push the tear button so that it reads 0. Switch the scale over to grams or whatever form you're measuring it and start putting in your first thing, maybe that's sweet potatoes. Scoop in 100 grams till it reads 100 grams. Next, all of that is still sitting on that same scale. Push tear again to get to a 0 again. Switch it over to ounces or whatever you need, then put your chicken or your protein in. So at this point you have this plastic container that is now has 100 grams sweet potato and 4 ounces of chicken on the scale, and it's all measured out. The last thing would be add any other protein or any other thing you want. So say cottage cheese, because that's my favorite. Keep everything on the scale again, push tear again so it brings it back to 0, and then scoop in your 70 to 114 grams of cottage cheese. So then you take the whole plastic container off of the scale and you have this pre-planned meal of 100 grams of sweet potato, 4 ounces of chicken, and 70 grams of cottage cheese. You can remember that. You can either put a sticky note on it, sometimes I do, or if it's for that day, you can log it in your MyFitnessPal or your logging app, and then you have that meal already for the day. You can eat it whenever. Meal prep is one part of the aspect. You need your protein, you need your carbs, you need your fat, but when are you supposed to eat those? Now, this is a big question revolving around meal prep, is knowing what meals you need to prep for. So the best thing to remember is that your big carbohydrate focused meals are going to come and be structured around your workout. Pre and post workout nutrition is very important. If you're someone that goes to the gym fasted, that's okay, but you do want to make sure that you're optimally at least recovering your body. By getting to the gym when you have a good carbohydrate meal in before about 60 to 90 minutes, you're gonna feel a lot better. You're gonna have a lot of energy, you're gonna have a lot of strength, you're gonna feel like superwoman.
Or man.
Sorry, you're gonna feel just really super. But if you don't, you might just be used to being fasted so it won't bother you, but if you're not used to being fasted and you try, you might be low energy, very fatigued, and possibly lightheaded. Now your post-workout nutrition, again, is going to be be very voluminous in carbs, a little bit lower than fat and normal in protein. Typically for me, I like to make sure that I'm gauging my protein intake at around 20 to 30 grams, my carb intake anywhere from 50 to 60 grams, and then my fat intake about 10 or below. Fats are not going to optimally energize you for workouts. Carbs are. Fats are going to more so be there for satiety aspect, as well as on rest days you can use fats as energy since you're not going to be going through glycogen energy, which is created by carbs.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Throughout the day, you can definitely disperse your meals however it feels fit in your personal lifestyle. For me, I personally fast until about 11 o'clock noon, and then I stop eating at around 8 to 9 p.m. This has been working for me for like now almost 2 years. I just really enjoy it. I feel a lot better in my digestion, giving myself time to just relax in the morning, drink my coffee, get my water in, and then eat. It also helps me keep my feeding time a little bit shorter so that I'm not eating at 8 a.m. and then ending at 8 p.m. Just a long period of time for you to prolong your hunger, especially when you're in a cut. So if you're someone that's consuming a ton of calories, you can eat a little bit earlier because you have a lot more calories to work through the day, and you don't want to just shove them into 3 meals or else you're gonna feel bloated and feel nasty. But if you're someone who's on a little lower caloric intake, you're gonna want to make sure that maybe your feeding window is a little bit shorter so that that opportune time to be hungry is within those hours that you're eating and you have the calories to use. Overall, meal prep and meal planning is very important because ultimately this is what's really gonna fuel your workouts, this is what's gonna fuel you, and this is what's gonna help you continue on to your physique goal that you're currently in. A few things to really take away from this video is that meal prepping is going to be important to have all the things necessary to do it correctly. You know, your plastic containers, your scale, your proteins, your carbs, and then having the app that you're going to use. The biggest thing to take away from meal timing is that really you want to make sure that no matter what, your pre and post workout nutrition is on point. This is what's really going to help you make a difference in your fitness journey. And then besides that, make sure that you're figuring out what works best for you. It's easy for someone to look at you and go,
Oh, well, I fast.
but maybe it's just not good for you. Or maybe someone goes,
Oh, well, I eat starting in the morning.
again, maybe that doesn't work for you, and that is okay. I like sharing what I do because people ask, and if it's something that you simply want to try, there is never any harm in trying anything. It's not going to hinder you, it's not going to hurt you. All it's going to do is help you realize throughout your fitness journey what works best for you. I hope that you guys took something away from this video. It was, again, another little bit of a shorter video, but something that is just always asked a lot, and hopefully that I can help you again with this series and everything that we're covering. So if you're ever looking back at this playlist as a whole, or you come across this video, it'll eager you and get you excited to watch the other ones so that it really all mixes together to where you can properly execute your next physique goal. If you haven't already, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment down below to support me and support my channel. It is because of you guys that I get to go on here every week and be on my Instagram and be on my Twitter and continue to create content that I love and content that can help you guys. So make sure that you do all 3 of those for me, and check out everything in the description box below to learn a little bit more about me and what I do. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video on Monday.